Welcome to Can I Speak to Your Product Manager, the nitty gritty with your favorite PMs. I'm Kyle Kolich, VP of Product at Zora.
And I'm Lucas Weber, Director of Product Management at Zora. On today's episode, we have Anna Fine, Principal Product Manager at Peacock TV. And as usual, we're going to start off the show getting to know Anna a little bit better through a game of Ship It or Skip It.
What do you want to do?
Let's do it.
No.
No. Maybe. Yes.
That's right, Anna. This is a game we like to play with product managers on this show to get to kind of know what you're thinking of product management overall. And the goal of the game, you got to say either you will ship it, you bring it to market, it's ready to go, or you skip it and it's not ready for prime time. Are you ready to get started?
Cool. I'm
All
ready.
right. So I looked at your background. You used to work in Nickelodeon, and there was a character called Jimmy Neutron. Jimmy came up with a whole bunch of inventions, but two kind of spotted I thought would be interesting. He had invented one was the Robo Barber, a robotic barber who will cut your hair to order. What do you think of Jimmy's invention of the Robo Barber?
I love Jimmy Neutron, and I love that you looked into it. I think I would ship it because I don't know. I feel like there are definitely circumstances where if I just need a quick haircut, like why wouldn't I just do that? I wouldn't do it every time, but I feel like there would be a time and a place for that.
Little in between, hair's getting a little longer, but you don't want to get a full haircut. Come to the barber, does it. And it was more of a, it was a cartoon, so it was very cartoonish, but I thought the concept was good. We're going to ship that one, ready to go to market. Second one, another one I thought was interesting. Again, as a cartoon, but a shoe bot that ties your shoes for you. I think you put your shoe into this box, and it will automatically tie your shoes to the strength and the type of knot as you prefer. So the shoe bot that ties your shoes.
I'm shipping everything today, I guess. I don't know. I would ship one too.
Jimmy Neutron. Strong product manager.
I'm into it. Yeah. He had lots of great ideas.
I'm going to throw a use case for you. So let's say hypothetically, you have a son. Say he's 13 years old. I'm going to get a little specific here. And his shoe unties basically every 5 minutes wherever he's at. Will this be a travel shoe box tying bot?
I thought of kids right away for this one. And I almost said maybe not, because I feel like there's a lot of shoe tying that happens for people of certain ages. So I don't know. I feel like it might need to have some kind of travel capability in order to be useful.
Well, that's good. I think it's on his backlog, because I think when I saw the invention, it was in travel, but we can always add to Jimmy's backlog that a travel component should be part of the solution.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. This isn't a Jimmy one. This is actually, I looked at your background. You were a swimmer.
Yes.
And it was an invention that was made, I think, in the 60s. I don't think it had a right name for it, but it was called the personal swimmer jet. And what you would do is it'd be almost like a belt. You attach the belt, and then there'd be like an engine or a fan belt on it. And it will propel you in the water without having to really use your arms or legs. But a personal engine-powered propeller jet engine on your body as you swim through the water. Would you ship it or would you skip it?
I feel conflicted because I actually really like to swim. So I don't know, but it also sounds really fun. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I think for the vibe, I might ship it, but I actually was a swimming instructor for kids, and the swimming instructor part of me says skip it, because I actually used to like teaching people how to swim. So I feel a little conflicted there, but it does sound actually really fun.
I was kind of on the fence of it too. I mean, the old videos made it look fun.
Yeah.
But I think I heard maybe some injuries that may have caused by it. So I think there's some kinks to work out, but maybe the concept needs some work. But you said ship it for this for now, or is it, because there is another option, is to put it back in R&D and work it through.
I think I would skip it because
so it would be a skip it.
Although, like I said, it does sound really fun. I used to like teaching people how to swim, and I have some safety concerns, especially for kids.
Very good. Thank you, Anna, for playing along.
All right, let's dive right into it. So, Anna, wanted to really get into the PM practice.
Powering up.
Power move.
Obviously, you're at Peacock TV right now, streaming services. I certainly use a lot. I think Kyle might as well. But obviously, talk of the times as to which shows are currently streaming, when's the next season coming, cancellations. I mean, so much talking about TV. It's a really amazing time to be watching, binging, perhaps. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about what it is like to work for a streaming video on demand service, and what particular challenges you're facing, and what are you working on?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you both. And like you said, Lucas, there's lots to talk about in this space. So I guess getting right to it, a little more than 2.5 years. And in that time frame, our team has just grown so much, and it's been really, really fun to be a part of. And it was, even when I joined back at the end of 2021, the industry was really different than it is today. And we're seeing different user behavior versus what we do then. And I have to set the stage because I always joke that I actually sit within the commerce team. I don't sit in what we call the viewing team, which is basically anytime you want to actually watch something. That is not the team that I work on. So I always joke with people, if you have a question about signing up or canceling or signing in, that is where I can help you. So any what we call commerce journeys, right? Signing up, how do I pick a plan once I have subscribed?
Cool. And speaking of, right, I mean, it's kind of interesting, couple of things. One, there's an article from Associated Press that came out recently talking about inflation and how consumers are more and more price conscious. And that's actually lowering inflation because they're choosing lower cost services instead of spending more. Whereas in the pandemic, apparently people were sort of flush with some of the stimulus checks and things like that. So they would sign up for a ton of things. And I think now people are like really conscious about what they spend on. They still spend, which is good. So there's no like, that's why the economy's still going, but they're specifically choosing what they buy. And I think that brings it really interesting because obviously streaming services are one of the things that people spend on. That's their entertainment side. So I'd love to hear from you, like, broadly speaking, what industry trends have you seen? So it'd be just interesting to hear your perspective on what's going on there. And I'll be honest, if I don't have something I want to watch, I'm going to cancel a streaming service. Is that okay?
That's totally okay. And actually, you are the trend, Lucas. That is the main change in behavior that we have seen even in the last 1.5 years or so. It used to be everyone, when I say everyone, I mean all of the products that people were signing up for, not even really just specifically streaming products, but any type of subscription product. It used to be all about getting users to sign up. And while, of course, that is still the case, to your point, it's more about pricing. And recently, we've been seeing more across the board with all the services. Users are signing up, but they're staying for something specific. And there seems to be a cycle. So an example would be, I'm a huge fan of a show, and I know it's coming back for another season. I may have signed up for the service that's carrying that show a while ago. I might have canceled because I wasn't watching anything else. But now that the next season is coming on, I want to come back and I want to resubscribe to the service that I used to have. And I'll come back maybe again for a specific time period to watch something that I'm really interested in. And then once I'm done, I might stay, but I might cancel again and go to a different service that is streaming the next show that I'm interested in, right? And that's really the common user behavior that we've been seeing just across the board. So that's certainly something that we're seeing across the board, Kyle. You're right. There are a lot of services that are offering pause versus just straight up canceling. It kind of depends on the product to see if users are going that direction. We have just industry-wide seen that users are interested in pausing. So that is something that has come up just as another type of offering for the user. But again, it kind of does come down to what Lucas was saying is about price and what the user is interested in right now for their immediate like family or for them, right? Like it just might change on any given time. So it's certainly an option to have pause across the board, but not everyone is quite offering that yet.
Yeah. And I was wondering if like you kind of entice it, right? Where pause, but you keep your price point at where it was. If you cancel in about a year, that price might go up 20%. So you kind of give them the carrot incentive of stay with us, but pause, but you keep that grandfather your price in. And then we don't, cancel, sign up again, you're going to get hit with like maybe an increase or less service or whatever it is if you get out. Is that some of the things you guys think about too, or
yeah? Another trend is price increases that has hit several different people in this space. A lot of different products are doing that. Just to put it out there, that's definitely a thing. The other part of the price mitigation that has been interesting that I've noticed is ad-supported plans are really having a moment right now. And a lot of user research across the board that I've just read for multiple types of products is a lot of users, especially if they know that they may or may not stay for too long, they're fine with an ad-supported option, which is usually cheaper price-wise than plans without ads. So that's another thing that has been going on recently is when users come back, like they're starting to opt into more ad-supported plans, even just for the product strategy, to have different types of plans to present to the user as options. That's really where I was going to go next is it's all about, for me, our team, like as we think about commerce journeys, right? How do we show users the plan that we think works best for them in a space where there's a lot of different products? Some of these products have a lot of different types of plans. There's just a lot of options. So now that across the board, the services are starting to offer similar types of plans, like how do we differentiate, but also show the user, like we think maybe even we know you were subscribed before. How do we get you back in? We noticed that you watched this. Maybe this type of plan will work best for you. I think that's really what's going to be next to help consumers make decisions on what they want to come back to service-wise.
Very, very interesting. I'm wondering what else could users do? One of the things that I find that also comes up in the news junkie over here, self-admittedly, is that people really watch like a hawk whether a particular show of theirs gets renewed or not by a network, all right, or by a service that might be sponsoring it. And, it does feel a little bit of like, look, I don't really have a voice in whether my show keeps going or doesn't. So, yeah, just kind of interested in whether, and again, I know you're not part of the content stuff, but just some of the things I'm hearing that people are like watching like a hawk, right, to see what will happen.
Yeah, that is interesting. And I have seen lots of Reddit conversations. Like I read those to see what people are saying about signing up, all that kind of stuff. I try. There's a lot of good conversations on there. You're right. A lot of those decisions are made totally separately, right? Like I'm certainly not going to be able to do too much from my perspective, but that is where I really think showing the users what we have as a service that's similar to what we know they've liked, right? A lot of people watch Bravo, and right, that's a very classic example. It's pretty popular. There's a lot of different franchises there, right? Like I might have only watched show 1 and I might not even realize that show 2 is an option for me once I'm done with show 1. If we can do a good job of telling the user, like, this is over for now, show 1 is done, but hey, we think you really might like this. I think that's a really good way to like bring the user back into the conversation, right? Like we're giving them an option, which I think is really important in a space where there's just a lot of shows. There's sometimes even for me, I'm like, what should I watch? I have 10 things queued, but I'm not even sure what I'm really in the mood for. So I think just helping consumers make those decisions is a really good next steps, and it makes them feel involved.
And if you look at like how TV was in the past, like, we didn't get to choose. You just showed up in channel 4, channel 7, channel 9, and that trail, what's your TV guide was what you're going to watch. And the good thing is we've given it up to, you could be your own TV guide, but there's so much content out there. How do you then navigate? Like, I liked like that Bravo show. What would be another show I can then, fall into that I might like? And I think you're right. I think part of that journey is, as they're like looking at, here's some plans that, hey, you like this type of show. Hey, here's a preview of 3 other shows that are similar to that model that could get your attention to sign up. And I think you're right. Having that in the journey really, so it doesn't create like, I'm done with this show, I'm canceling. I'm like, I love this show, I want to see more like those show, branch you to a different journey. You can then say, continue my plan, or give you another plan that's more specific or cater to your value, what you want, and you're less likely to churn and become more of a long-term consumer.
Yeah, that's exactly the thought, right? Say I had my first plan, but I want to change to a different plan. How can we like really make it clear to the user what the plan change will get them, right? Like based off of what we think that they might like, because there's a lot of options, and if they're changing their plan, they should really understand like what will change if they make even just a billing change to their account.
Yeah, the other thing that I find interesting, so the other day, I think a month or so ago, we had a conversation with on our show here with somebody who is working with Zumba, right? So it's more personal fitness stuff, and one of the things they were looking at is like, what is your purpose in doing fitness and exercise, right? And when you do that, you then provide a structure for the user within the content to go and explore certain things that are thematic and things like that. It's just like what you're saying. If somebody likes Bravo, right, et cetera, like, what theme? Are you a casual watcher? Are you a binger? Are you this? And is there something that really appeals to you so that you can say, this service really knows my habits very well and like suggests great things, and it makes sense that I would go from this show to this next show, and I've got this like set of things that are set up for me so that it feels like, oh, but they care, they know me, and so I'd rather remain with the service because they keep providing me the service I need.
Yeah, I think that's right. And something I think about a lot is, how do we get our service to be a part of people's lives that they regularly come back to, right? So again, like, even though I'm on a different team, like I focus on commerce moments, right? Users should understand that they know how our service works. They know how they can make changes, and they're comfortable doing that at any point in time to meet their needs. And that's really what my goal is all the time, right? So it's taking our moments and making sure that they work for our user, right? Like, if the user builds up a habit and they know how to navigate our product and they know how to adjust their I'm making up this example, right? They know how to adjust their settings. Like, it's a part of their life. That's really the purpose of what we're trying to do, because then that's why users stick around and they come back, because the service is part of their day. Like you were saying, Lucas, it's, people have their fitness habits, right? Like it's all a similar mentality, right? It's okay. I'm done. It's the end of my day. I know I want to open up this service because it's something that I've been doing recently and I'm comfortable and I know how the service works, and I find myself coming back.
I was going to tune a little bit more on the user flow in the application itself. Is it, as you make it easy to use and part of their lives, they're actually, it becomes an app that's actually more sticky, right? Because let's say, they're able, one thing they like to do is broadcast from their phone to their TV. You make that really simple. You may not have the shows you want, but it goes, what, I really like that feature a lot, so I'm going to keep it, even though I'm going to wait for the show 2, show 3, but I like that one capability of doing it. It keeps me within the app. Or like you say, I want to be able to change my plan easily. I don't want to go and look up Google, figure out how to change a plan, go through it like, 5 different clicks. It's one easy button. I'm like, I really like the look and feel of the app. Makes my life easier.
Mhm.
Maybe the content's not there yet, but I'm reluctant to churn because I'm having such a good experience within the app. Is that what I was kind of getting out of what you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could give you an example, right? On one of our plans, we offer the option for users to download content and watch offline. And that is something that users have told us a lot that they just really use, right? So even for me, I've been on a plane and I forgot that, oh shoot, I'm going to lose service. I need to download something really quickly, right? Like I know that we offer that. Let me go into the app and just see what I can quickly download. It's features like that that I think people remember, and that's what keeps them coming back. I've heard that one is also popular with folks with kids if they're going out really quickly and they need something. So that's why I picked that example, because I've heard that one before.
No, it's a lifesaver for speaking with kids and going on trips, being able to download that content. It really kind of drives when it makes it easier, because sometimes the planes don't have TVs anymore. So if you don't have it there and the Wi-Fi is spotty, you have it downloaded. There's no hiccups. It works fine. So you're almost kind of pivoting to more like carrying that kind of platform play for them, right? You're giving them a platform that is, flexible. They fall in love with that. They fall in love with the download feature. They fall in love with the fact that they can change their plan quickly. They don't feel trapped. You reduce some of that restriction, and also give me the value of all the shows and whatnot. But those two are becoming more. It sounds like the trend is more that's becoming more and more important for these kind of products. Is that content's always going to be king. Media content is a king, but if you get the platform component just as strong and powerful, it kind of helps complement the both.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And even in that example, again, that goes back to what I was saying. If that's a part of someone's day, like that's what will keep them with us, right? Like, oh, I know I forgot I have to get in the car. I need something right away. If you make that association, at least for me, like that would keep me, because I know if I need something quickly, like I know where to go to get that and to get what I need.
And a wonderful conversation about all this pricing and how to keep customers engaged rather than just coming in and going. From a PMing perspective, it looks like there's a lot of ideas even here, right? We just explored it. Like, how do you manage it all? How do these things become reality? And can you give us a little insight of what that looks like?
Sure. I mean, yes, there's a lot. It's a very busy space. I personally am always doing research. What is, this service doing? What is this service doing? Is this something we should consider for us? I have my ideas backlog, but to be honest, it's constant evaluation of our roadmap, and are we prioritizing the right features for what our product needs in this very busy moment in time. And I think that's the crux of the conversation, right? It's okay, I might know that this feature is important. We should do it. Okay, that's going to be a priority. But if we think something is going to align to helping us keep users on the platform 6 months from now, right? Like that's going to be really important for us to think about, right? So it's always conversations of looking at our roadmap, talking really closely with our partner teams, right? Lots of data conversations all the time. It goes back to what I was saying before. If I see a pattern that's a little bit different, okay, is that worth exploring? Does that mean we should move up a feature in the priority list, right? And speaking with tech, right, there are some features that I will think of and I'll ask them, is this easy? Can we do this quickly? And if they obviously say yes, then that might be worth bumping up in priority. So I think it's a common conversation that PMs have. It's like, okay, we really just have to look at the landscape, and it does get more difficult when there are lots of different conversations going on, but it really all comes down to the user behavior and the data.
Yeah, makes sense. And it's a very dynamic space for you, right? I mean, I don't know if there's are there insights as to where we might be going from a streaming behavior perspective? Are we in the subscribe, binge, cancel cycle forever? Do you think that might change?
I mean, I hope not. But we'll have to see. I do think it's like I was saying before, the more we can get to know our users, I think that's really the next phase, right? It's less about just really broad content offerings and more about showing users what we think they'll really like. There's been mergers in the space, for example, that offer users even more content on one platform, right? Like, well, that's really great, but we have to allow users to make an easy decision.
Yeah. More choices, not always better, right? There's studies done on that. Sometimes more focused things really make things a lot easier.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Very good. And a wonderful conversation. I don't know if you have any last thoughts that you want to leave our listeners with.
I think just that last point that we were talking a little bit about prioritization. This is not really anything controversial. It's just standard PM stuff. But I really try to remember in this really busy time, crowded space, it always just benefits me and the team to remember the goal and what we're really trying to achieve, right? When there are so many updates we could be making all the time, I always try to come back to that. And I have been finding that it matters even more as we're in this just very busy market. So again, not anything particularly out of the realm for PMs, but in the last couple of 6 months, I've really just been finding myself coming back to that. So I thought I would just share.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Do you mind sharing maybe what that, that goal is, that North Star for you guys that you're focusing on?
Yeah, it's really just showing users why our product is special and why they should stay. It's really just what I've been saying through the duration of the conversation. It's showing users why they should pick us and stay with us.
Yep. Okay.
And I love the fact you went back to the user. That's important, right? I mean, we forget about that, and we go, it's more feature, more. You're right. If you draw it back to the user, what's important to them, making sure you're understanding the pain and their problem, really kind of helps solidify the goal, and then everything kind of works towards that, which is great advice.
Anna, thank you so very much. Wonderful conversation with Anna Fine, Principal Product Manager at Peacock TV. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks again for having me.
Conversation with Anna. I mean, it was really good to hear how she's thinking about that journey for the customer, and I was kind of wondering about that too, because we've been on these streaming platforms before, and it's like easy to cancel. You want to cancel, you sign up. Is that what they're looking for? Do they care? And it does sound that it's a big part of their strategy. They do want to keep that customer through that journey, give them plans that might be better for their what they've been viewing, show them what other things they can view, kind of keep them in the play. And I also like that part too of the actual platform is important to this. I mean, you want to make sure the app is actually a good experience. You want to make sure it's easy to do the download, like she was talking about. And I've used the download feature, and I find that very valuable. Where you almost like, I want to keep going. Maybe that content isn't ready. I don't want to watch it right away, but I love that download feature. I'm going to stay on, and then maybe there's a plan that comes up that says only download only for certain price points. So really kind of understanding what that customer's doing, what they really want out of it. Is really kind of great to see, and how their team and Anna was working through that. What'd you take out of it, Lucas?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I think the big thing that I think you actually bring up in most podcasts is the North Star. Right, we got to it at the very end of the podcast, but she's really focusing on the big picture, which is retention of the users on the service for as long as possible, right? And I think that's what they're focused on, and kind of ideating and trying different things and looking what other people are doing, what could work. I'm sure testing other things, and I think as usual, having that be the North Star and then prioritizing things appropriately, always the right thing from a PM perspective to be looking at. So I think that's a great anchor. The other side of it all was obviously, I think, many of us have streaming experience, and I'm glad to see that folks are working on different ways to engage with the user rather than just asking questions like, are you sure you want to quit? Are you really, really sure? And then why? And we're like, okay, just let's get on with it, right? From being just transactional. So it's good to see that this space is evolving and really thinking about us, the users, and how to cater to us. I also agree with your point about the sort of platform side of things. Honestly, when I think back about systems for commerce, I go back. This is just a short side story. When I was still on the East Coast, I went to this sandwich shop, which had an amazing e-commerce because they had an app and everything like that. And the ordering process was so smooth to get your subs that I would actually continue to order because I knew it would be ordered, ready for pickup. And it was just, it was a while back. It was like 10, 20 years ago, right? But like the experience was so amazing. It's good that their food was good too, but the experience, that part of the operational part, was so smooth that it kept me coming back because it was just like unbelievably efficient. And so the contrary of that is obviously if the platform is not performing and it's a pain in the ass and it's buggy, et cetera, obviously that's a huge detriment. But there is a we talk about delight in some cases, and people eye roll a little bit on the delight, but it was actually delightful because it was just so efficient. So anyway, great conversation about, really what's, I think, very topical now, because we talk about, getting rid of services and things like that. That's kind of the trend right now, where folks are trying to be more cost conscious, et cetera. So it's really interesting to talk to somebody who's in the thick of a particular domain, in this particular case, streaming video on demand, and what they're thinking about and how to retain customers, different pricing plans, and all that. Very, very, very interesting, insightful conversation with Anna.
Yeah, no, and you're right about it. And it was sandwiches, the same thing. There's a lot of different sandwich places you go to, but you kept going to that one place because the platform was really easy to use. And and again, you got to have good sandwiches, so you got to good content, but you also need a good experience within the app, which is, again, like a 1-2 punch. Exactly.
It's the entire user experience really, really matters. Well, in any case, wonderful conversation with Anna Fine from Peacock TV. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we'll have you back on our next episode. Take care.